I was not like the type of person. Third. Oh yeah, cool. Oh, cool. Um, all right, cool. Can I do that? Is it a way to do that? Like,
You can record, I think, but I will send you the recording
okay,
for
all
sure.
right, that's
So
fine.
just,
That's fine.
I was just trying to make sure that it was recording and I didn't see it recording. So, oh, okay, so start all over about dope.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. So, the dopamine, the dope yoga is, short for the dopamine yoga. And it's just about the body's pharmacy and just the ability to like use movement and breath and just deliberate practices in order to bring yourself back into the present moment. Like
Right.
I said, if you ask people 20 years that knew me 20 years ago, they'd be like, Danica does yoga, teaches yoga, like what? But I've been doing it, right? But I've been doing it for a while now. So people are kind of used to like, they're like, oh, that's Danica, she's a yoga teacher. But it was definitely like love at first breath for me though. Like as
Really,
soon as I
really, huh?
oh yes, like it was not what I was looking for because I do like to read. So I went and bought like I'm embarrassed to say. Well, I'm not embarrassed to say because none of this stuff was like public at the time. But right, I read "Do You," which is like the Russell Simmons book. And
Mm-hmm.
now he's like since Flee with all the sexual
Right, right,
essay
right,
stuff.
right, 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 right.
Right, but I wasn't privy to. None of us were privy to that at the time, right? So it was just. And I like to read, and I had the day off. I remember like it was yesterday. Like that's how I know it was like like a visceral. It was a Thursday, and I was off. And I was like, I'm gonna go get this book because my thing, like when bookstores were open, where it's like go to Borders and read books. So I was
Yes,
like,
yes,
I'm
yes,
gonna
yes.
go to the book, right? So I went and I just got Do You, and I came home and I like sat on the floor, just like sit on the floor. And I'm reading this book, and I'm just thinking he's gonna talk about how to be successful, and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I was breathing, and I'm like, yo, what is this dude talking about? Like he's killing it. Like I want to hear like stories about hip hop, and rappers, and
Right,
he's
right,
just like
right.
breath, and I'm like, this is bullshit. Like not even a lie, like, this is bullshit. But I was like, whatever. I was like, I'm gonna try this because this dude's got all this cool stimulation around him, and he's like talking about breathing. It's got to be something to it, right? So I was like, so I started reading it, and I was like, let me sit here. I sat the book down. I'm like, I do a couple breaths, and I was just like,
Oh.
it's like 10 minutes had gone by though, and I didn't even know. I was like, yo, what the fuck was that? Sorry, can I? And I mean, I'll try to keep it to a minimum because the kids in each one teach one keep me accountable. But so I watch the words. But long story short, I did that, and like time like went away. It was the first time
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa. And then I probably almost finished the book, but I don't like finishing books because like then I get sad. It's over.
I
But
know the
long story,
feeling.
you like draw it out. You're like, I'm not gonna read it tonight. I'm gonna do something, and then you like. Long story short, I read the book. And that day, I was like, this is it. Oh my God, this is it. So I like literally sat there all day and like did these breathing exercises. I called my mom. I was like, Mom. And I know she was like, yo, what is going on? And like I went back to work and I had the book with me. And then like, it was crazy. I don't know. And then after that, it was like turned out, like a drug addict. And I guess it's kind of like where the dopamine, like after that, I was like, this is it. I'm never going a day without doing this yoga shit, this practice,
That's right. Right, 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 right.
it was on. And that was in September. And then I didn't even know that there were like actual poses. Well, I didn't get the courage and like really even get curious enough about the poses until March or May. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to the YMCA. And I started doing like, cause I would like do the practices at home, the breathing and I didn't even know at the time they were like mudras, right? And
Yes, 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 yes.
drishtis. I didn't even know what it was, but that was like, cause I'm super hype. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm like, go, go, go. Like I wake up like bing.
Right,
So
right,
and it
right.
was the first, yeah. So it was the first time I had found anything that like helped me like relax. And it
Mm.
wasn't, it wasn't like just like different, experimental stuff like that. It was just like breath. And I was like, this shit's too good to be true. So I just ran with it. Just ran with it, honestly. And my dad had always talked to me about stuff like that. Not that he was a meditator, because I mean his nickname's Smokey, right? So he was,
Gotcha.
yeah. Well, my dad he was a cool dude. But every day, like from the moment I was born, he was talking to me about like monks and meditation and like breathing techniques and all this like mystical esoteric stuff and like so it was always like I guess I always kind of have like kind of was a little lucky to have somebody that stayed
It's
in my ear about
true.
that kind of stuff.
That's
So
true.
when I found it, so when I found it at 28, I was like, this is it. Like that was it. I was done.
There you go. Now, had
Yeah.
you, before then, no connection whatsoever to yoga?
Well, you know what? So hindsight is 2020. So I had always taken like karate when
Uh-huh.
I was a child, like under 10 though. But like you grow up and then you're like, karate.
Right.
But so when I think about it, I guess my dad was like, I'm gonna get this in there somehow. So he had like signed me up for karate. So I had been in karate as like a child, like, I guess like 6, 7, 8,
Mhm.
9, 10, whatever. So when I think about it, I had already been exposed to the stillness and like mindful movement and breathing without even recognizing that.
See, yeah, right. How about that? That's
So
interesting. Yeah,
yeah, like so
because
dope, the connection. Yeah.
exactly, because sort of the Eastern philosophy, and I'll just put it that way, the connection is there, and it's sort of interesting to see how it comes sort of full circle
Yes.
and make that kind of connection. For
Yeah.
me, it started with, I would say, like prayer, sort of leading into meditation, and I really got hooked into meditation, but not knowing that it was a part of yoga. No, no
Yes.
clue, no clue whatsoever. I'm going, this is very cool. Like you, it's like, wow, where did that time go? Where did
Yeah.
I go?
Yes. It's like what? And it was like I was like, I'm doing this again. And like I like literally did it all day.
Right. So now, professionally or in your work, I guess I want to know, do you work full time for yourself? Because I know
No.
no. Okay, so
I
what other
wish I'm
work do
like
you do?
no. I wish.
I know,
That's
huh?
that's the goal, I know it's attainable and I'm, working on this like 3 months and 6 month and 12-month goal. Like, but no. Um, but that is I'm
What's
gonna
the
go for it.
what's the work that you do that's other than your work with yoga?
So I've always been into like health.
Hmm.
So right now I'm learning about like insurance and like private nursing, and I don't do any of the private nursing personally. I'm on the admin side, like setting up
Gotcha.
appointments. Um, but so that's been an interesting. I kind of just fell into that because previous to that I did like government contract work.
Yeah,
But so
gotcha.
I've done like all kinds of different things. But I know for me, if I don't, I'm not happy in my work, I like get sick physically.
Yes, I hear you.
Um, so I'm working to, you know,
Let it go.
yeah,
and,
definitely.
and move on. And talk to those that don't know you, and I don't know all about you, about the dope yoga and the kind of work that you're doing. Because I looked at that. I don't even know if it was a story or a reel or a very quick clip about looking for people who are trained in um, trauma aware
Yeah.
yoga. Hmm.
Mhm. So, um, so the 200 hours. So a big thing now with yoga teachers, they want you to have a trauma informed background, which essentially means more inclusivity, right?
Right.
um, I don't. I mean, it's kind of the whole trauma informed is almost kind of funny because if you're a yoga teacher, you should be trauma informed. But anyway, right? That's neither
Right.
here nor. But that's just about like creating like a diverse group of people that have mindful skills, that have mindful practices, that have been tried and that have been successful, and just being able to share that with people in the community that don't come to yoga studios. And I don't
Hmm.
want, so I'll have this saying in my class, I'm like, this is a yoga practice, not yoga journal. So, and that's just for the people that are like going a little bit too hard. And I'm not calling them out because like I am that person. Like I am the person
Right.
that goes through it, right? So it's just about being an accessible teacher or practitioner, because like we're teachers now.
Right.
Like I teach one, we're all teaching each other here. But yeah, just essentially having a group of people that doesn't look like Yoga Journal. Not
Right.
that anything wrong with Yoga Journal. I love Yoga Journal. I read it, right? But just
Right.
the idea of I don't want people to show up and everybody know like they're the yoga teachers. Does that
Right.
make
It
sense?
makes perfect sense because I think we all know what it means to sort of the commercialized
Yeah.
view of the yogi and the yoga
Mhm.
teacher.
Mhm. And it's an
Anybody, yes.
and I don't want and I don't like that. Right. I like
Right.
people to show up. When I show up, I like people to feel like, oh, there's D. I can go, talk to her about this, this, and this. Like, I don't want them to be like, oh, and I have to act. Like, don't even come at me like that. You know what I mean? Like, I want you
Right.
to show up
Right.
and arrive as you, because I'm gonna meet you where you are, because I need you to meet me where I am today.
That's right. That's right.
It's just a feeling of a feeling. It's a feeling. It's not even a look, right? It's just a feeling. It's the
And I think
essence.
that's the point.
It shows up before you do. Like, everybody knows when they are feeling heard, seen, and accepted, right? And just for how they are, where they are in the moment. And I just want, when I show up, and I want to build a team of people that feel like that, right? So if people reach out and they're like, well, D was cool, but like, I can be like, well, here's this person or here's this person, right? Because maybe you'll I don't know. I just want it to be inclusive. And I want to create a group that feels like that. It feels safe and accessible and creates successful practices for people. I just want to share, the feeling. So.
Is there a particular place where you practice? Is it part of a studio or a community center or?
So I do teach at a yoga studio here in Frederick, but that's just one day a week. And then I'm primarily focused on like the nonprofit because I really enjoy working with the kids because the practices are just so more meaningful to them. They just get it. They like it
Yeah.
or they don't. The feedback is instant.
Yes.
And I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know, it just feels better. So that is actually in a community center. So I work with at-risk populations. So, all housing communities have a community center.
Yes.
So I work at the community center, and I actually hold the classes in the community center. So the barrier of transportation is eliminated, right? So they literally walk over. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? They're running home. Can I go get my shoes? Sure, come right back. And so the goal is to expand into other housing communities, community centers. So the yoga studio is nice for, relationships, but I'm really more concerned with giving back to
The
Sankofa.
community. Yeah. I hear you. Looking back to look forward. I hear you.
Yeah, because they're sweet and they're dope and they get it. And they'll be like, we should do this, Coach Deere. You should do it like this. And then it's like they don't even realize they're teaching the class and they're going to be the teacher.
Yes. That's wonderful. So how many days a week do you do that?
So it's just twice, right? It's just twice a week because I'm the primary teacher. And that's the reason, that is actually the whole reason for needing to build this community. Because I can't teach all the kids.
Yeah.
Right. I want it to be a after school program so that 5 days a week there are like, two teachers and, there's a space for them. So that's the growth, that I'm looking for in the next 6 to 12 months.
That's really great. See, I wish I was in there.
Oh, I know.
I know, but that's really good to know because I can, sort of pass the word a little bit with some folks that we know. And Kristen probably knows. She works for, oh gosh, she'd kill me if I missed this. She did good. No, she's not there anymore. Where the heck? Habitat for Humanity. That's where she is. I had to really think.
Is she in Towson, right?
Yeah.
So she works for Habitat in Towson?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So I know she knows a few. So anyway, I'll kind of I kind of pass that along. You just never know, right?
Absolutely, because you know, even we've met a few artists from Baltimore, right? Which because it's only, you know, right down the road, and they've been really interested in the kids, and they've come up and done cool projects with them. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, there could be an each one teach one's house in. I mean, you know.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Have you had any, well, I shouldn't even ask it this way because I listened to one of the, again, one of your chats inside your
Oh,
car. You said, you said something about going to this yoga studio and you were a little late. You even said, I get that, I was late, but those kind of
bitch move,
experiences. Yes.
bitch move, like bitch move. Sorry.
No, right.
Like, oh my God. But you know what? I haven't been back since, and it is what it is. So when people come into my class, like even last week, it's like 3 girls and they're all friends, right? But it's all good. So they're sitting there like, oh, you're too close. I'm like, you move up, you move down, you move up. It's like there's plenty of room, and I don't like people to feel like
Right.
they feel like that's my job as the teacher, is to be like,
Absolutely.
I need you to just move over a little bit. Right? It's not rude. It's common decency, sweetheart.
Thank
And
you.
if you don't have it, you don't even belong in dope yoga, because like it's supposed to feel good, and I can tell this ain't feeling good.
Right.
You know, so for me, it's just like and it's not about control. It's just about making, and that's the inclusivity part, right? Because sis
People
was just like,
comfortable.
yeah, like sis was just watching, and I'm kind of looking at the teacher like, is she gonna
Are you gonna say something? Yeah, right.
And she didn't, and I wasn't gonna be all like angry and upset because A, I'm rude, so I'm already on CPT time, right? And then, you know what I mean? And I just didn't want to make it uncomfortable because I was already irritated. And B and C, I can do yoga anywhere. So Shorty
right.
she wasn't stealing my 60 minutes. I mean, I probably enjoyed it even more for the simple fact she wouldn't move. So I was like, try breathing on her. So I mean, you know, you can't steal my joy, bitch. But
Nope, no.
so, you know, that was just like a personal thing. So I definitely took that away. And in my class, even with the kids, even the kids know, like, they're like, you want me to set the mats up? And I'm like, yeah. Why are y'all so close? Move over, everybody. What is your mat? It's your safe space. This is your safe space, Marion. You don't step on anybody's mat. Don't walk over. Don't hop over. Don't jump.
Right.
Again, you can go out there and nobody will touch you all around. You know what I mean? This is it. This is just, and if you don't feel safe, let me know. So I don't know. It's just like, it's just because I don't know. It's just like, I guess I want people to feel okay when they're around, you know?
And I keep wondering, why is that not okay for other yoga teachers to do? That they don't have a sense of comfort to be able to say what is common sense and common courtesy, to stop and say, can you all just slide over, just, you know, whatever. Do we know each other? See, that's a big bugaboo that I have.
I make everybody, when people come in, I go, hello, welcome. I mean, I don't like call them out, but I go, everybody look at your neighbor. Cause I don't like really, you know, it's intimate if I stare at you like this for a while, right? Right, it gets a little bit uncomfortable, and so I don't know, but I just don't like, I've been to so many yoga classes, and I just don't like when I feel uncomfortable. It's not that I want to take up a lot of space, but I want to take up the space that I have there, and I just don't like people to feel uncomfortable. And if there's a sense of uncomfortability, I'm gonna bring the shit up.
That's right. Me too. Right.
Like,
exactly.
Hey, I bring it up. I'm like, hey, what's up? Look at your neighbor. Look, we all made it here. We all landed safely, right? I don't know. I just look at everything, the way people come in, and like people come in, like when I come into class, I like roll my mat out like a little soft taco. I try to keep it quiet. Like, you gotta come in and roll your mat out. Have some grace, sweetheart. Like, I don't know. It's just little small things. It just says a lot about the people, like, as they arrive. And I'm not judging you. It's just an observation, but.
Right. However, you need to take a look at it. However, you need to take a look at what's that about. Your discomfort, because it's not about my discomfort. And you know, people's physical being says so much about who they are or who they're not.
You know? But you know, I've been doing a lot of reading about like trauma and stuff, and I think I mean, as much as people, I feel like, oh God, I could just stay in the house, right? Like, yo, all of us are just like scared ass little kids trying to,
Ain't it?
right? I just don't want to get my feelings hurt at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So I just try to be like, girl, I forgive you. I've had a lot of forgiveness.
Well,
So,
I think, sort of in the more you grow in the practice, the more forgiveness and grace you give others and yourself, actually. I think the more you grow, you sort of, I'm just like, you say you Aquarius, I'm Scorpion, and I've had to like sit on that stinger so many times because it's just such a knee-jerk reaction after all these years. It's still there. You may not see it, but then I have to say, ooh, you got to take a minute, girl. You need to take a minute.
right, like,
Yeah. This is all about you because you're reacting to, what is it that you're reacting to,
yeah. And it depends on the day, because some days I'm like, another day. And I mean, so I don't know, but I'm working to be, create a happier, happier, happier. So
Happier. And it has that, yoga has that way of doing that. It just, I try to tell people, oh, if you've seen me even just 3 years ago or 10 years ago, this is a huge transition. I want you to know.
I know.
For sure. If you were to give advice to sort of someone who was maybe a new yoga teacher, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, that's a good question. I like these questions. These are thoughtful questions. So, advice to a new yoga teacher.